effectively. Yesterday, we also discussed extensively on inorganic farming. We started with inorganic poultry production. We ended up talking generally about inorganic farming, the importance of safe food, and the why people now look at what they eat, the consequences of eating anyhow, the use of herbal medicine in poultry production, where you are doing where you are doing inorganic farming, you don't use medications. What are the medical herbs that are available that can be used in the poultry production? My colleague, Showe Mimo, gave us a very beautiful insight into what we could do and the market that exists for inorganic products, whether they are for livestock or for the crop sector. And that was about what we talked about yesterday. So today, we are going to look at issues that have to do with how you secure resources, how you secure credit, how you obtain finance.
Sorry, Doc. Sorry, Prof.
To help you start.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Prof. Sorry, Prof.
Yeah, you are.
Professor. I'm thinking, should we ask the participant who was not there yesterday, what exactly is her thought? I mean, is she considering it, or is she just here to just listen to what is being said, or does she need more information on any aspect that we've already talked about before? Maybe we should just ask her input.
I think she's hearing you. Can you respond to that, please?
Charity.
To myself. Okay. Hello. I'm not here just to hear. I'm considering having a poultry. I already have a space, but I've not started. So I will need your expertise advice. Thank you.
Okay.
So I believe this revision is very good for her before you go into today's session, Prof. Am I okay?
I've noted most of the issues she spoke about.
And in addition, I think the video of yesterday is also available, and yes, it will be shared, and then you can actually look at it so that you will not lose anything from what we have done yesterday. And if you study the video and there are questions you need us to address further, we can actually do that tomorrow when we have the next session. So just study it and let us know if there are things that you feel we could add. And if you also look at the platform, my number and that of Showe Mimo is there. You can actually contact us either via our phones, or you can do that by email and we'll respond to you. You can also use the chat on the platform to indicate any issues that you may want to be addressed. My colleague, are you there? Hello, Mrs. Showe.
Sure.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, are you good, or do you have anything you wish to add to that?
I think you've given her the best solution, which is, first of all, to listen to what we had done yesterday via the recording, and then that we are available for further questioning if she has any. That's fine.
All right. Okay, thank
and
you.
I think we have 2 more participants. I believe others will join soon.
Okay. Fumiyade Oluwasoyi. I think he was
Famuyide.
Famuyide, okay. Famuyide, were you here yesterday?
Did you attend the the poultry session? That's what Prof is asking.
Okay.
Maybe she's not getting.
Yeah, he's probably not getting us, because I would have loved to hear what they can remember.
Okay, she needs to be unmuted. Sorry. Let me unmute her.
The family there is a male.
Oh, it's a male?
Yeah.
Okay, let me unmute him. Okay.
Okay, having internet issues.
Okay.
Sent a message that is having internet issues.
Okay. So what of Napoleon?
Napoleon, are you there? Okay, let's go. Let's move. Make some progress. Is he responding? Okay, he's not responding, so we can move on. Whenever they get to us, then we'll continue. So like I was saying, today we are actually going to look at issues relating to credit and how you can source for credit. And I feel that it is very important for us to actually first understand what a credit is. And if we can understand what it is, then we will be able, it will help us to actually utilize it effectively. And so I try to define credit here for us. I got this from the internet, and it says that credit is generally defined as a contractual agreement in which a borrower receives something of value now and agrees to pay the lender at a later date, generally with interest. Now, the key points here I think we should look at is it is a contractual agreement. So it is something that is binding between you and another person. And the other one is the borrower, and the other one is a receiver. So you will be given some money from somebody to be used for something that is called a credit. And a credit is going to be paid. So it is not free money. It is money that you are getting or value. It doesn't have to be money. It can be a value. It can be a good, an item, a facility. But the bottom line is there is an agreement to that, and you are expected to pay for it. Most times it has interest. If we note that finance, credit, capital is a credit, if you have to use a credit for it, then you need to know that it is not a free money and that at the end of the day, you will be expected to pay. And so if you have money that is with you or an item that is with you that you will pay for, how do you utilize that item? How well do you use it? Because you will have to pay for it. Another definition is credit is the trust which allows one party to provide money or resources to another party, wherein the second party does not reimburse the first party immediately, but promises either to repay or return those resources at a later date. I think the key issues are the same. This one has added a time frame to it. You do not pay immediately, but you promise to pay at some time. So it gives a time value to the credit you are getting. So now we know that if it is credit, it is a borrowed fund, it has to be refunded at some time and most likely with some interest. I'm having issues with this thing going up and down my screen. And so what are the types of credit that you can get? Sometimes we can get credit from friends, and it is not, we call it unsecure, because you don't have to give anything for it. You just have an understanding, you have a contractual agreement, okay, I don't have money, please help me. So the person gives you some money without you giving the person anything. That is considered as unsecured money. You have not provided anything in terms of collateral for him to be able to give you the money. It is also a credit and you also need to pay, but he had not asked you that you must provide A, B, or C before you can access the money. Another type of it is where you want to get credit and they say, oh, you need to provide something that I can hold so that when you are not able to pay that, I can take what you have provided. And so sometimes we give our houses as collateral. Sometimes our salaries for those of us that are working is used as a basis for giving you loan, because if you cannot pay, they can actually deduct it from your salary. These categories of loans, whether it is a secured form or it is an unsecured form, the fundamental principle is that money is being borrowed and we need to stick to the terms of engagement for us to be able to give back so that we can have a good credit rating. So whether it is they are going to take your house or not, the fact that you have decided to collect money with terms that you need to pay at some time or the other means that you need to be conscious of how you utilize it and be sure to pay as agreed. Oftentimes we enter into collecting money without the commitment to pay. Even where the business yields the expected income, you are not committed to pay and you tend to use it for other things. Sometimes people collect money and they end up going to add more liability. Probably they marry more wives, increasing the number of people that they need to feed in the house simply because you have collected loan. You are at the verge of this training because you may access loan from the government. I want us to know that the resources we're accessing from government are borrowed funds, and we need to pay back borrowed funds. Let's not engage good proposals and at the end of the day, we are able to secure some resources and we use it for something other than what it has been given to us for. What are your sources of funds? How do you access credit for the poultry business you want to do? Like we said, there are various types of poultry and there are various activities within the poultry value chain that you may want to engage yourself in. So one source of money you could use is actually your own capital. This comes from the savings you have been making over time. Gradually, you use a certain amount of your income while you save a certain amount. Over time, it can accumulate and actually be the capital that you can use to start the intended business in the poultry. You can also, if supposing what you have is not sufficient or you do not even have at all, but you have a good idea and you have been able to develop a good plan, you can actually go to friends and family. in Nigeria, we are in Africa generally, I think, we are good. We watch each other's back in the family. If somebody needs something, you easily give it that you have, and the proposal tells exactly the amount of money you require, and you can get some money from that. Sometimes, even for family and friends, they they ask you to pay some interest. Sometimes, and or most times, for family and friends, you are not required to give interest, but you are expected to pay back the loan. Paying of that loan that you have collected gives you credibility as a responsible person to the society and to yourself. So the ounces are on you not to take anybody for granted. The fact that he is family, he is a brother, he is a sister, does not mean that you borrow something and not return it. If it is a gift, then it is a gift and you can use it without returning. But if it is a loan for business, please try and live up to the agreement that you have made in collecting the loan. And that is why the plan gives you an idea of when your money, your business can start yielding some fruits. If you do not know that, you want to enter into a production of eggs, for instance, and you go to your family and friend and collect some money and now tell the person that you will be able to pay in 3 months, you would have landed yourself in trouble, because the poultry business, particularly for layers, there is no way they would have started laying and you would have been able to sell and generate money to pay back. So the agreement you do with the lender is very important. You should be able to study the life cycle of the business you are entering into, such that when you are collecting the loan, it is there within the business plan you have made, that at so time your production will be yielding so amount, and you will now be able to have money. It is at that point that you can indicate that you will be able to pay the loan. So please, let's not be in so much haste to collect money from family and friends under the wrong conditions, because you lose credibility. And credibility is a major component of business. You should be able to say your word and stay by it. You can also go to banks. Banks are a major source of finance. Banks have their laid down rules and regulations. They also have their interest rates. Oftentimes, you find out that the interest rates in the bank are actually higher than what you have when you go to family and friends, or when you go to the crowd funding, where people gather. You know, we have all kinds of ways of innovative ways of getting money in Nigerian business. You have what we call, in Hausa, they call it adashe, contribution. You gather a certain group of crowd come together and agree within themselves that we'll be contributing so amount and we will be giving each other as loan. These can translate into cooperative societies where they are registered and they are formal institutions, and they also give loans. You realize that these cooperative societies or this crowdfunding, they are actually having less interest rates. And sometimes they are also a little more flexible. Oftentimes, they also do not require you to give any collateral. the fact that you are a member of that association, or the fact that you are a member of that contribution, or a member of that group, actually gives you the collateral that is required to access the money in such groups. So we can key into those ones because they are of lower interest rates, they are a bit more flexible, and they can help us. But the government is specifically also providing various loan schemes to farmers. There are so many loan schemes now with the central bank, with the Bank of Industry, with the Bank of Agriculture. You can actually go to those places and you will see the various loan schemes they have and the various requirements that you need to go through to be able to access these loans. Commercial banks issue loans. Like I said, they are a little more strict and their interest rates can go to double digits. And therefore, payment of such loans could be difficult if the business is not very viable, or if you are also not very careful in the use of such resources. And most times, if you are not an employee or in the public sector, they will now require you give some collateral. And that collateral is something they can add when due. So we need to give those considerations to what we are doing when we go to banks to collect loan, and you read the terms and conditions very carefully. Sometimes they have hidden sentences that you think are or hidden charges or hidden costs somewhere along the line, and in your haste to collect the money, you don't see it, and they say the loan is probably 10% interest rate. Before you know it, you see yourself paying 20%. They will tell you there is service charge, there is a workers charge, there is a revolving loan, it is interest on capital, it is interest on net, all kinds of things. So you need to understand the terrain that you are also working on. Small business loans are available. We have microfinance banks all over the place. They give small loans to farmers. If you are going to a bank for the loan, or as you are intending to now write a proposal and collect loan under this scheme that we are discussing, you need a business plan. Nobody will give you an official loan without seeing your business plan and verifying and validating that the business you are trying to go into is profitable and that it will yield returns that you can use to pay. So the business plan we have discussed from Monday to yesterday in terms of plan is very, very key to securing loans in the public, in the private sector. Within the business plan, you would have described effectively the complete business itself. You would have indicated the core products or services that the business is intending to produce. You would have also indicated financial projections that gives idea of where you intend the business to be in the next 5 years, in the next 3 years. These projections will be in your plan, and that is what they are going to use. You would have indicated exactly how you intend to implement that plan. And so they study this and now decide that you are credible and you can be given the loan, or no, something is wrong with this plan and they do not think you will actually be able to refund the money as you have indicated, and therefore they will not give you the loan. So remember the significance of your business plan and what it should contain to be able to enable you secure loan from any of the private sector or even the public sector, as this case of government loaning money. Government is loaning is also borrowed funds. The government has collected some funds from the World Bank and is using it to generate businesses, to create employment, and to give a growth to the economy. And so it is not money to be used carelessly. Remember that if you use this money without investing it and doing what you said you are going to do, there will be a lot of ripple effect on our children, on our grandchildren, because we have taken resources that is not used for what it is meant for. And therefore, we will be landing the next generation coming behind us with a lot of debt, even if we are not there. So to me, collecting loan is a good thing when you know what you want to do with it. When you are disciplined to stick to the terms that is provided under the agreement that you have made. And it also tells of your worth and credibility as a person. If you use it carelessly, it shows also your character. So do you want to be seen as a responsible citizen? Do you want to play the role of ensuring that the next generation that comes after us have resources to be able to live their lives? If you do, access the loan, because sometimes to do, but ensure that you stick to the agreement. Then let's look at this. These are two people. Mary Smith is age 32. She's a dentist. She has high income. She has good credit history, and her loan is approved. Look at another person. He is called Andy Jones. He is the same age with Mary Chris. They are Mary Smith. They are all 32 years. He is a job bouncer, which means he does not retain job. He moves from one job to the other. His income is very low, or he has a low income. He has bad credit history, and therefore this loan request is rejected. This is very important for us to note, that two people of the same age, the same business, can apply for something like a loan, and one person will be approved while the other person will be denied. If it is denied, look at yourself. Have you taken money from the bank before and you have not paid back, or you defaulted? They have the record. In Nigeria, our banks are not so harmonized as to be able to get information from different banks at the same time. But in advanced countries, they are. If you take a loan from one bank and you go to another bank, it will show that this person has credit in so-so place and of so-so amount. And so it gives you a history of how you respond to credits. We had an incident at some time where somebody who is a staff took money from a bank and quickly came back and changed his bank to another bank, and now took money also from the second bank, because we do not have a good synergy in our banking activities. Where there is synergy, you can't even do that. But I want us as young people coming up to know that it is not a good ethical practice to do that. Unfortunately, the person that did that now died. And we are now having issues on how to, because the two banks now came indicating that, okay, this person is owing from here and he's owing from there. And by the time they put the aggregate of what he is owing, you now realize the family self do not even have anything out of the years of service he has been working, because the banks will collect their money. By the time they added the interest rate, the money has accumulated, there was nothing again. So let's take our action seriously beyond what we also beyond what is personal to also the extended family, and what it also means when we do not respond to commitments that we have made. And so the major things considered are your credit history, that talks about the ability to pay back the loan and so on. They also look at your capacity, your cash flow, your income debt ratio that is indicated in your plan. And it tells the bank whether you have the financial ability to actually be able to pay the loan. So be careful when you are developing your cash flow in your proposal, because they will look at it and now be able to judge whether you can pay that loan or you don't have the financial ability. Capital, how much money you have invested in the business. You get loan easier or you succeed easier where you have some experience, where you also have made some financial commitments, because where your money is, there your heart is. So where you have put in some money before, you are likely to pay more attention to that activity because you want to secure the money that you have invested. And so people look, banks or lending societies give it a credit when they realize you have actually made some commitments, or you have started this business, or you are at this level in doing what you are doing and you want to improve on it. It gives you an advantage to be able to secure additional funds. We have talked about collateral, so I wouldn't talk about it there. Then I have also spoken about the issues of conditions. And we have said that you should look at it very carefully. Sometimes there are factors that are outside your control. You need to indicate those assumptions so that it is clear that these and these and these are the conditions under which these projects will scale through. And other source of credit, there are people we call angel investors. I think that's why I put them in green. They are entrepreneurs who want to leverage their wealth and invest in projects that they feel they have passion for. These angel entrepreneurs exist, and you can check the internet. There are sites on the internet where you can put in your items and people can look at it. If somebody is interested in it, he can actually contact you and invest in that thing because he has a passion for it, or he has seen the potential of what you are doing and he wants to engage in it. Most times in agricultural shows, you go, you present what you have. In technology shows, you go, you present what you have. They are prototypes or pilots of what you intend to eventually do. I'm surprised. It's showing me that I should unmute myself. Okay. And so they collect your business cards and things like that, and they eventually contact you and they can invest money into your business. That is very possible. That is, in fact, gaining grounds these days. People have resources and they watch out for businesses that they feel have high success rates, and they also invest in it. You can have peer-to-peer lending. It's not necessarily family, but the person is a colleague, is a friend, and he can decide to lend something to you for you to actually start a business. Some entrepreneurs are also looking at these chances, and they also invest in that. There's venture capitalists. This investment is predicted on the idea that the business that the venture that the person is going into is lucrative. And some people will be ready to commit their resources into that. They are called venture capitalists. It can actually be high money. When you come to venture capitalists, it can be big money, but they are willing to take the risk because they see the potential. Oftentimes, they remain with you as mentors. They guide you, assist you in trying to achieve what you want. They recognize the potential that this young man can actually do something and do it well, but what he needs is some money, some mentoring, some guidance, and they are willing to also do that. I want us to note that whichever process we go through, whether we are using peer-to-peer lending, whether it is angel investors or venture capitalists we are using, have that instrument agreement. Do not take it for granted. Ensure that your terms and conditions are clear and acceptable to both parties. This is very important because there are times when venture capitalists or peer-to-peer lenders and so on may give you some resources to start your business. But when they notice the business is growing very well and good, they will now want to take over the business because they are the ones that assisted you in the first instance with some capital. So you need to be careful such that you have concrete terms and agreements on the responsibility of the person lending you the money, as well as your own commitment in utilizing and repaying the funds that has been provided. How do you manage the credits? We have been dwelling on this the time that we have started yesterday, and she did mention that you need to budget very carefully in order to be able to understand what you are doing and the total commitment that is required. Now, since budgeting allows you to create a spending plan for your money, it ensures that you will always have enough money for the things you need and the things that are important to you. Following a budget or spending plan will also keep you out of debt or help you work your way out of debt if you are currently in a debt situation. Now, I want us to know that the money is never enough. If you want to spend it, there is always something to spend the money on. But what are the important things? Yesterday, Madam talked about priority. Somebody wanted to buy new drinkers on feeders simply because they are a new design and they look beautiful in the poultry house. Do you want to collect loans and then utilize it for something that are just wants? Are they captured in the plan? Are they a priority? You need to ask yourself when you are using resources, whether it is a need, whether you really require to do that, and whether it is the least cost option and the best quality for what you want to do. You need to manage your resources according to the plan you have indicated, such that you will be able to have some discipline in the conduct of your business. Otherwise, you will lose track. You will go into things that are not in the plan that has been approved, and therefore you will find yourself not achieving the objective for which you are collecting the loan for, and also landing in problem on how to repay resources for which you do not have the know-how anymore, because the business has actually failed. So credit management is key to ensuring success in the business, and ensuring that you follow the approved plan is also very important. Don't go and see farmer A. Maybe she was doing broiler production. All of a sudden, she decided that, okay, she can do ornamental birds. And you that has borrowed loan to do broiler production now suddenly decides that you want to use part of the money to go and do ornamental birds. That is not what the money is approved for. And you are most likely going to fail if you easily move from one thing to the other. You should be able to stick to the plan that you have made and continue to work diligently according to the plan to be able to succeed. Most loans come with contingencies. That is to say, should there be inflation that may account for some increase in the cost of one or two things, that is where that contingency comes in. The contingency is not free money to say, okay, these items are costed here and there. Okay, this one is free. So let me take that 100,000 contingency and go and do Owambe. That is not what contingency funds for projects are supposed to be used for. They are supposed to be used for items in the project that, for one reason or the other, cannot entirely fit into what has been indicated in the plan. The next we have been discussing financial discipline. What are the things that you need to know to be able to say you are disciplined in the finances that you have? It is always important to spend less than you earn. It is very important. Don't make your expenditure equal to your income. In fact, most times they say your expenditure should be like 30% of the income. Where you cannot do that, at least stay at a ratio of like 60, so that you have some amount. So the amount in your the amount of loan you are collecting, don't spend everything. Go through it in a manner that there is always some amount that is left, such that you can fall on to that should there be one or two problems within the business. And try to build multiple streams of income. I'm trying to say that even if you have decided that broiler production is what you want to do, within the broiler production, it is not only sales of table birds that is business in broiler production. You can decide to sell poultry litter. That is another thing that people engage in. You can decide to add value to the some of the poultry? Do you, let's say, roast and sell roasted birds? You need to create multiple sources of income around the business niche that you have created for yourself, so that if one is not working, still within the same business entity you are doing, something else will complement another thing. I am not suggesting that you jump from poultry production with your resources, go to goats. Jump from goat production, you probably go to, which one will I say now? Transportation. That's not what we are saying. So don't be jumping from place to place. Create a specialized niche of the business you are in and look at possible things you can do within the context of that niche to be able to have different income. Yesterday, I noticed Madam was presenting, and she was now telling us that, okay, let her tell her driver to collect lemongrass. Somebody has ordered lemongrass, so she's going to sell lemongrass. That is something she is doing within the context of her business. For me, I am also into aquaculture. So by the time I raise fish, I would decide that, okay, these ones at 2.5 months, 3 months, I want to process them into dry fish and package it and sell. I will leave some, I want to take it to table size until when they are 1.5 kg. I have also raised some that I want to sell as parent stock. These are multiple sources of income within the same cycle of the business you are doing. So that is what I'm actually referring to. And if you have had to collect loan and you need to pay, particularly if you have collected from more than one person, pay the one that has the highest interest first. That will help you. Attend to the money that has highest interest, the highest debt with the interest, so that that interest does not accumulate and add to your issues. That you need to do. And realize that income does not determine wealth. Because there was a day I sold my fish, and they paid me, I think they paid me, whether it's 200,000 or thereabout. And at the point I collected that money, I was like going to the market to buy 1 or 2 things for myself. Somehow, I now also decided that, okay, let's look at the accounts of the farm. Let's look at the total expenditure on this fish. By the time we did that, I now realized the money I made was 30,000, which means I really didn't make much profit. But because I was seeing that 200,000, I thought it was money, that I was rich. So be careful. Don't always think that the money that you have is the wealth that you are you have at your disposal. Sometimes it is not. Sometimes you may even find out that you are actually in deficit. Do everything in moderation. Do not go and start with 1,000 birds or 1,000 broiler, 1,000 layer, 500 this. That is the road to failure. Many people have gone that way. You have retirement money. Oh, it's agri. You know, the idea is agri does not need too much reading. You don't need to go to school to be a farmer. You don't need to go to school to be a poultry man. So most times we think that agri is a venture that you can go into without any know-how. But that is the greatest mistake we are making, because it is a business that is technical, that requires you to know what you are doing at every point in time. Otherwise, you are going to have serious failure, particularly if you are doing it as a business. Most of the ones that our parents do or our friends do, they are just doing it as hobby. They are just keeping this livestock. So the investment is not there. It's not really a business. A hobby is not a business. So, but when you have made it a business, why neighbor? So when you have made it a business, then you need to apply business principles. Do everything in moderation. Follow the rules and regulations. Develop a workable household budget. This one is your household budget, because we tend to carry business money into our house money. Business money is separate. The house money is separate. If you are not a government employee and your sole income is that business, you allocate yourself some salary. That's how it is. You allocate yourself a salary so that it is that salary that is your house money. And you must live within the budget of your house money. Don't go and look at the business money and just carry it and come and use it anyhow. You must be able to separate the two. That is discipline. If you don't have money, you don't have money. You think of how to get money, but don't go to the business account and carry the money. Track your income and expenses. This is where we talked about record keeping yesterday. And we said you must indicate all expenses, all income. You must keep record so that you know how much you have spent and how much you intend to spend. Never assume past performance guarantees future results. That is also important. Don't think that there's nothing to improve on and there's nothing to learn from the past one that you have done, so that the next one you are doing, you will improve on it. It is not a guarantee that because the last set of birds I kept and none died, so this time around, let me be easy. I know how to do it. That rule does not apply. So ensure that you are continuously learning and continuously improving on what you need to do. Pay your bills on time. If you have staff working for you, as much as possible, please pay their bills on time. Respect the people that are working for you. Know that they are also human beings with responsibilities and obligations. The fact that they are working for you does not mean that you can treat them anyhow or reschedule their payments anyhow. I'm sure that all of us have understood with this COVID and the IPPS that we have issues with our salaries. Today they pay you this amount and you realize, okay, I can budget on this amount. By the time that you are supposed to be paid next month, you realize it is paid a week or 10 days after. You lose track of planning. And also you realize, okay, you are not even sure of the amount that they are going to pay you. That one also does not allow you to really plan. So ensure you do the right thing for your workers, because if we go through it, we also have the same problem. So pay your bills on time. Do you have light bills? Don't wait for them to come and cut your light before you struggle to pay connection fee and then get them to reinstate back the light. By doing this, you will avoid spending money on needless or paying fees lately, and it will enable you to kind of manage your finances and live within the budget of what you have. I think that is about sources of capital and how you can secure it and how you can manage it. I don't know, our moderator.
Yeah, I'm here.
I think my co-facilitator is here. She can also add to some of the things that we have said.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. You have taken us to very important aspect that will help us, and it also collaborates what we have been learning for the past 3 days. So I believe it's so beneficial to the participants. We'll go over to our colleague, Ms. Mimi. What's the other name, the other facilitator?
I'm Mrs. Show.
You are in the house. Okay, so please.
Yes.
All right. Let me, and you can go ahead. You are already unmuted, so go ahead.
Yes, we had actually decided before that we were going to be taking breaks in between so that it doesn't get too intense. And I was hoping that at this stage we could actually take a break.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, well, it's all right. If that is the decision, I'm not objecting, but I think I saw a question when we started on the chat. I don't know if the person who asked the question is still around. We use that, somebody was asking, was it Kolajo? He was asking, what does it need to train pig? What and what am I going to put in place? And I just posed, I said, let him wait until after we have advanced to some extent. So I don't know if the question falls in line.
What?
And if he is still here, then Prof, you can take that.
What did he ask? Train pig?
Yeah, that to train pig, like to train pig, or to raise pig.
And he asked it, okay, pigs, okay.
Yeah.
All
what
right.
and what does he need or to put in place?
Okay. Pig production is a very lucrative business. It's a high money spinner because pigs are actually highly prolific. A pig or a sow can actually farrow up to 12 piglets and raise them successfully. So if your interest is in pig production, your key factor that you need to consider is your location. Some people don't eat pigs or pork. Some people will not even come to your farm if you keep pigs. It's against certain religion. So you need to define your market carefully when you are into pig production. Where is your location? And also remember that you also do not want to be stigmatized because you are into a business. So your location is very critical. You should be in a location where you are comfortable, people are happy with you, there's no problem with it. And you go into, you site your farm there. Local pigs, as you find in the villages, are very slow in growth. And so when you keep them, you feed them, but the growth rate is very low. And the maturity time from when they start farrowing is also high. And so it takes a long time and also wastes a lot of resources. But there are improved breeds that you can actually utilize. Large, white, land race, these are improved breeds that are also available. So where you get the parent stock on your farm for the piglets is very important. I know in Ibadan, there are a lot of places where you can get good stock. The IAR&T in Ibadan has a lot of good stock that I know, and some other private farms. So if you can get good stock from there, then it will be good for you. So don't go and buy from the open market where you may end up with local variety that will not do well. When you secure the source, the parent material, feeding is also a critical component of raising pigs. We make the mistake of thinking that pigs are dirty animals. Pigs are actually not dirty animals, except where you allow them to get dirty. I'm very sure we also notice that even for our children, if we allow them roam about from place to place, enter all kinds of things, we see them on the road, they are dirty. We don't want to associate with them. But where pigs are kept in a clean environment, they are habitual animals. A pig, in fact, will decide where to be urinating. Within the pen, the pig will decide where to be urinating. And you realize anytime it wants to urinate, it will go there. Anytime it wants to defecate, it will go to a particular place. So the death actually comes in because we allow them, we think they are dirty animals and we allow them roam about freely. When they are hungry, a pig will eat almost anything that it sees. That is.
Okay, Prof, we still have 2 more questions for you.
Yeah.
The other question, I think it was asked by Musa Ibrahim. Musa, are you in the house? You want to speak, or we'll just read the question from here?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Prof, for giving me the opportunity to ask my question. I really appreciate the facilitator for a very detailed explanation on how to start a poultry. My question goes this way. If I want to establish a poultry, in order to maximize my source of income, can I write a business plan on poultry stroke aquaculture in order to maximize my sources of income, to have it as one business plan?
Okay. Yeah, if your business plan is on integrated farming, because there is a farming system where you raise fish, and on top of the pond, you actually have poultry cages. The litter from the poultry actually falls into the aquaculture pond, and it stimulates microbial activity and becomes feed for the fish. So if your plan originally is that you want to run an integrated farm, your proposal will reflect that. But where I'm saying don't enter into it is where your plan is strictly poultry, and then you suddenly decided that you are going to use part of the money given to you for poultry to do aquaculture. Are you clear?
Yes, ma. Thank you so much. It's clear. It's clear to me.
Okay. All right. I can't hear you. We can't hear you, sir. You are muted.
I'm saying that Charity has a question. I think she's asking, why are some eggs bigger and fresher than others? Unless if she wants to elaborate on that, but that's her question.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Why are some eggs bigger or fresher?
And fresher.
Okay. Egg size, it depends on the age of the bird as well as the nutritional status of the bird. There is also some varietal influence on the size of eggs. So number one, eggs could be small because they are from new layers. We call them pullet layers. So if the birds are just coming into lay, the size of eggs they will be producing will be small. But gradually, as the birds mature in production, the size will improve. And
okay, so it doesn't depend on whether big
eggs.
Prof.
Chicken, yeah.
What I'm trying to understand is, so the size of the egg does not depend on the size of the bird, does it?
No, not necessarily, not at all. But the breed can influence the size. Some breeds are bred for large eggs. So you will see that in foreign countries, they have big eggs or jumbo size, they have medium size, and they have small eggs. The breed of the bird can affect the size of the egg. But generally, whether the breed is for big or small, at the point of lay, egg size could be relatively small. I'm saying relative because across the breed, you will also see the differences. Then when chickens are not fed well, the egg too can be small.
Okay.
So feeding is also a function of the size. And as for freshness, it depends on the storage method. All eggs that are laid in a day are fresh eggs. But when you collect these eggs, where do you keep them? If you keep them in an airy, cool place, they will last for a longer period. But room, you know, temperature almost 30 degrees, 35 degrees or more. Within 3 days, the egg will go bad. So even in the village, in our villages, you remember, when our mothers are going to keep eggs, they normally find a pot, they will line it with grasses, then they will keep the eggs there. That is a storage procedure that is meant to keep the eggs fresh for a longer period. There's also a shelf life. When you keep it for too long, it will actually go bad. But within the space of a week, 2 weeks, eggs can be kept fresh if they are properly stored.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe we'll allow, if there are other questions, otherwise we can just take a 5-minute break so that we'll allow Prof to also take some fresh air, and then we will invite the second facilitator after 5 minutes. Thank you. Any other questions from participants?
Yes, moderator, please. I want to find out from Prof if refrigerator storage of the egg can be said to be proper.
Okay.
Yes, if it is not frozen, fridge temperature is proper.
Okay, thank you.
But you don't keep it in the freezer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So we are having a break.
Yeah, we can proceed on it. Yes.
Prof, the 5 minutes is too short now. Are you hearing me, Prof?
Pardon?
Madam,
the 5 minutes is too short. The 5 minutes is too short.
It's too short. We will hardly be off our system, and it's time to be back.
Okay. How much time do we need? 10, 15 minutes? We want to finish. We want to make sure that we don't go too much deep into the evening. Okay, let's go for 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah, Prof, let me understand. You want us to finish earlier?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so when we finish, if it's 2:30, we are done, we'll go.
Sure, sure.
Thanks. Okay, let's have 15 minutes.
Okay, 15
minutes is fine.
Okay, thank you.
15 minutes is fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. So we are resuming in 15 minutes time, please.
So that is
that is 130, 138, 136.
Okay, all right.
136.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So break time.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye. Oop. Larva. Larva.
and I process. But the processing is just the one that we can do within our own limits. We now have customers, we've always had customers who we supply. And now some of them, unknown to me, own supermarkets. Some of them have access to supermarkets where they already supply things. And they started asking, please, this your chicken is very nice. Why can't you supply us? And the first question they always ask is, do you have NAFDAC? And I'm always quick to tell them, no, I do not have NAFDAC. Some would say, if I have a processing place that is not too far, they don't even mind coming to pay to use that processing facility. Just out of my own wanting to progress on the business, I had started building a processing unit, but today we have money for 50 blocks, we buy it, we put it. Tomorrow is for 20, we take it, we buy it. So when this opportunity came, I sat down with one or two people. In fact, one of them already has her own processing unit in Ibadan. And anytime we have many birds to process, we go and use her facility. So I first of all approached her, because it's very important that you know what you're doing. And you take every complaint that those who are already in that business have should be your concern, more than even what makes them thrive on it. So I had this meeting with one lady who already processes, and she had built her own processing unit. Luckily enough, she used to supply restaurants. She services about 4 blue chip companies in Oyo State. And when getting supplies from people became a problem, she actually started her own poultry. She said, sometimes you pick up birds from this place, from that place. By the time you get to your catering unit, you will notice something in the supply of Mr. A, or you're not happy with the size, other kind of things. So she said she just asked herself, what's the big deal in this poultry that I cannot do it myself? And that was how she built her own poultry and started using her own birds. So she has a ready market. Now, the companies that she's also supplying then asked her, because they're blue chip companies, they then asked her that they needed to come and visit where she processes the chicken for them to assess, the quality. And she said she had to ask them to give her a little time. And within the time she asked for, she built that processing unit and all of that. So I had to create my own board of advisors, which is something I would encourage our participants to do. Yeah, it doesn't have to be any big person. Once that person is knowledgeable in whatever you want to do, and that person is doing it, because that person is the only one who can give you the hands-on advice. So I had her. Then I had another person who raises birds, but owns her own small hatchery. Anyway, I had about 3 or 4 of them like that, and I sat down with them. I told them what I wanted to do. And they encouraged me. They gave me the ideas of the things I needed to know, the things I needed to do, and all of that. And part of the question they kept asking me, which is why I'm saying our participants must check their own personal lifestyle. Does it align with what they want to do? One of the key things they told me is that in processing, I cannot leave it and go. I must be there, because the last thing you want to do is to go and supply a big company. Let's say it's an hotel that asks for your birds. You take it there and they're complaining. Usually, those kind of people don't give you a second chance. if you mess it up once, they're likely to just say, the minute they finish paying you, and the payment will come like 2 weeks after. When you eventually get the money, while you're happy that they have paid you, they likely not call you back. So they all warned me that I must have production days on which I know that I will be there, and I will be the final checker of all the process flow. So it is important that one should be in that position, assess yourself, believe that whatever it takes, you are going to do it so that you're in a position to pay back your loan. Like Professor said, it is a loan. I always tell people, it is not something that people congratulate you about because that congratulations is just the beginning of so many steps that one has to take. A long time ago, my husband gave me an advice. He said, you know what, when you have all these loans that require payback, why don't you budget -2 installments? He said, when you budget, and I think Prof mentioned something close to that. My husband said, don't plan to spend all the money. When you get it, plan to leave, you know, the first installment, how much, you know, the second installment, how much. Leave the money there. Because, like Prof also mentioned, if it is layers you want to do, you're going to feed them for the next 20 months, 20 weeks. Within that time, they will be eating, you will be busy, but no egg. At least when egg comes, you start weighing the option of, oh, how many eggs versus how many bags of feed we are using. So that is an advice that I took very personal, and I've always used it. Whatever the case, I make sure that I'm not planning for all of the money. Then another thing I suggest, please make sure you are accountable to someone. Yes, it's a loan, you're going to pay it back, but you must have somebody in your life who you are accountable to in terms of feedback. So let that person be able to call you. Let me say I tell that person, oh, I'm going to go and buy my equipment tomorrow. When I was going to go and buy my equipment for the processing unit, I had to go back to my board of advisors. And you will be amazed the kind of hints and tips I got from them. For some of them, some of the equipment they are using, they could advise me, don't buy this type, buy this type. And then one of the things I got, which has always been very useful for me, is the fact that I should not just plan for, let's say I'm doing 500 birds. And my thinking is that I will be processing 500 birds. They advised me, no, don't plan for 500 birds. Even though you are sticking to your 500 birds, plan to process at least 1,000. So if you want to buy, let's say something like there's one thing they call a cooling, I've forgotten the name, chamber. The cooling chamber is where, as you are slaughtering and washing, you are putting it in the cooling chamber. The cooling chamber has ice already. You will have put ice there. So they said, if that thing can take a certain number, buy the next bigger one. So everything I have or that I have bought with that money can take me a bit further. I will not wake up next year again and say, I now need bigger this, bigger that. No, I have already given myself a bit of room for expansion within the sizes of the things I am buying. Now, these are all the support system that I built for myself is what is helping me to achieve this. Because some of them have been processing, one has been doing it for about 5 years, one has been doing it for about 3 years. So they were on hand. Even to build a cold room, one of our colleagues on one of the platforms, he lost 5 tons of chicken recently. it was so traumatic. I was crying for him. He that lost the chicken was begging me because 5 tons. And this is not even his money. It's not like as if it is money. It's money that he has to refund. And what had happened? The person who built him the cold room, he just went on the owner of the poultry processing unit. He just went on internet and he looked for the what do they call this, SOE on the website when you are looking for things, the ones on top. He just picked the very first one on top. Of course, the man was advertising and he has paid, so he has to be on top. So I phoned him when I was going to plan for the cold room, and he gave me one profound advice. He said, "Ma, don't look on the internet for the person who will do your cold room." He said, "Go to people who have been doing this for the last 10, 15 years. Go and ask them who built their cold room." He said, in fact, you can go to, there's a place in Apapa, I've forgotten the name they call it now. It's under the bridge. And it's like a cold storage, the fish people, prawns, all these people are there. He said, go there and ask them questions about their cold room. Do you know that by the time I did my survey and asked questions around, over half mentioned the same person. So I went down to go and look for the man. Where he lives is very far from where I live. I called him and I went there. When I got there, the man said, "I'm doing a project not too far from here. Let me take you there. Because me, I don't like to tell people I'm good, I'm this. Let me go and show you." Do you know that I quickly called one of my advisors? I said, he's taking me to go and see one of the things he's doing, one of the cold rooms he's building. They said, follow him and go and see. They now gave me one very important fact. They said, the other man that lost the 5 tons, one of the reasons why he lost the 5 tons was because the floor of the place was not insulated. Apparently, there is no how that he will have spent money to build a 20-ton cold room and they didn't insulate the floor. Because they said even if the ice on the sides started to melt, usually the one of the floor is always very, very slow. Then when this man took me to the one he's doing, I also learned something. The most important and the most critical aspect of that cold room, as at the time the man is writing you an invoice, he bills you for 2. One he will use, one he is going to keep for you. Now, he says, if that one he's keeping for you is your money and it's your own, you will look for where to keep it. I think it cost about 140,000 naira. He said he does that for 2 reasons. First of all, when a cold room shuts down, it normally takes at least 3 days to get it up running again if you allow it to completely shut down. In those 3 days, what will you do with your products that are there? So that is why he keeps that second one. So that if he comes and that one that you're using cannot be repaired immediately, he will put your spare inside. And within a short time, your cold room will be back working. Then he will go and repair that one. Then he said the second reason, at that point in time that you have that problem, might be when you do not have 140,000 to put down for a second one. But if you have budgeted it at the beginning, then at that point in time, you're probably looking for his own, maybe 20,000 or something like that to pay for it. So I have gone into all this story just to encourage our participants that don't walk alone. Don't walk as in W-O-R-K alone. And don't walk as in W-A-L-K alone. Don't decide that you know what you are doing and others are the ones who don't know, or you might not need them. You are going to need strong support system. With the conversations I had with those people who already own a cold room, today when they're talking about cold room, I'm talking, people who look at me, I haven't even installed it because the building is not ready. But it just shows that the effort I have taken to go and learn is paying off for me. Now, I will also advise participants, go and join groups that are about what you are doing or what you want to do. So our gentleman who spoke about animal livestock yesterday, you will look for groups where that is their focus. And like I mentioned yesterday, now there are groups for almost anything. Now, onion group, garlic group, tomato group. I have so many groups on my phone. My phone is always complaining. Once they start posting any photo there, I remove because I know that I need that space to learn. So you need that exposure, you know, and through that exposure, you will find support. I always tell people, I don't join groups for nothing. Once I join a group, that's another tip. The first thing I do, I look through the list of names there. Sometimes from some of their display pictures, you will know what some people are doing, because I always tell business people, as a business person, you have no business putting your children or your wife or something on your business profile. Yesterday, we were expecting about 200, we were expecting about 350 pieces of sweet corn to harvest. I told someone to go and count. He counted about 3 days ago. By yesterday, the number had gone to 800 and something, which means I was going to have 500 more than I planned. I took from that yesterday, I changed my display picture to that sweet corn. By morning today, from people who saw my display picture, I had sold 50 kg out of 200 and something. Just display picture. I want. Can I get? So I always tell people, use your WhatsApp as WhatsApp business. Register for WhatsApp business and use it for your business. In fact, WhatsApp has gone so techy now that you can even have your catalog on your profile. I have not filled up our own because you need to put price and all of it there. So it's an indirect way of marketing what you have. So please use it wisely. Now, getting the money itself, like Prof said, it is money that will be paid back. So every penny must be accounted for. Apart from having somebody who you physically use as your support system, who is checking on what you are buying and what you are doing, please have your own. If you are good with computer, have your own Excel spreadsheet. If you are not good with computer, have a brand new notebook. Everything, write it there. When I say everything, yesterday Prof was mentioning that our expenses, many times when we capture it, there's some that we leave out. And I think I also mentioned it when I was talking about budget. Many of us don't put value on our own time. So when you leave one spot to travel to the other spot, because what you are going to do there, maybe it's going to fetch you 50,000. You have forgotten that the transport fare from where you left to go there is probably 2,000. To collect it, come back, is another maybe 1,500. So that 50,000 you went to collect is no longer 50,000. because you need to remove that 3,500 that you have expended on it. There was a day, one of my workers, we didn't find him. We normally resume work in the afternoon by 3. We didn't see him at 3 o'clock till we closed, and we didn't hear from him. But I know him. If he was in trouble, he would have called. So I knew he had gone on his own frolic. When he came the next morning, I asked him what happened to him. He said one of his brothers from home sent him 1,000 naira, and they sent it to a POS, ATM or whatever, no, POS in a place called Shion. The transport to Shion and back here is about 400 naira to go, about 350 or 300 to come back. I sat down. I said, and you went to collect 1,000 naira. Do you know that it had not dawned on him that that was a frolic? And you then spent almost the whole half day to go and do that. So I had to tell him, I said, it didn't make any financial sense. But why am I using his analogy? Because many of us, like Prof mentioned the 200,000. I made sale. It's 300. It's 200,000. And then you sit down. You remove this, remove that, feed, blah blah, and the money remains 30,000. Would 30,000 be something to jump off for? If anything, that 30,000, she probably will even use it to buy feed again or to buy something back into the business. So it is very, very important. Another advice I always give people, because oftentimes I'm invited to, because I retired, people ask me to come for these pre-retirement programs. I always tell people, you must have 2 accounts. If indeed you are doing business, then there must be an account in that business name. I have friends who tell me things like, recently we were asked to pay 20,000 for an association. It's an association of where I worked before. And about 3 of our members, when they paid, they had paid from their company account. So one who is very close to me, I now asked her, I said, I noticed you pay from your company account, but this is a personal thing, to pay the subscription of a company that you work for in retirement. It's not business. She said, but it's my money and it's my account. I said, no, it doesn't work like that. If indeed you have an accountant who is vetting your spending, they should have queried you. There was a day my accountant called me frantically. I even thought something had gone wrong. He said the bank account, that he noticed that we paid maybe 15,000 or something like that to a dressmaker. I had to explain to him that yes, she is my dressmaker, but I needed her to make overalls for the workers, and that the person we normally use in Ibadan said he had traveled. I'm telling you, I was answering like as if I was in trouble. He said, Madam, I don't want to be seeing this kind of, and I expressing, You will notice that that's the first time you will see her come up. Please bear in mind that we used her for company activity. That's why she's showing up there. He said, okay, I understand now. So it shows our participants the seriousness we need to allude to it. And even though they have given this loan without asking for our account, usually if it's a bank, you will go and bring, even sometimes 3 years accounting, you will bring it to justify that you deserve that money. So it is the more reason why a lot of seriousness has to be tied to having this opportunity. Somebody was saying it on a group yesterday, said, jump at this opportunity because you might never have such again. I will give you, they'll give you the money you want. You will pay within at least 5 years. You can have up to 6 months to 1 year moratorium. When COVID came, they even said, oh yeah, you can pay 5%. They're not even charging you the 9%. So we should see it as a lifeline that one must not allow to cut anyhow. That is my own advice. So in that notebook, everything, phone data, all the calling, where is the feed? When is it going to arrive? This is all part of your expenses, and it must be noted down so that one does not go and have false profit. By the time you look at the profit and you are jumping up and down, that yes, and then they take their own installments. You now start wondering, where is the rest? What did I do with it? And like we mentioned in record keeping, if you are committed to writing everything I spend, I write every day. Even if I don't have the time of writing it in the farm book, I have my own personal book where I write it. I can now sit down on a Sunday or Saturday and start removing which one is which one so that we have an idea. And then having to ask very, very pertinent questions is important. Don't be afraid to ask the people who are supporting you the right questions. I remembered once somebody said, are you making profits? We were talking generally, and somebody said, are you making profits? And at that point in time, I said, no. At that point in time, we're not making profits. But the way our books are going, I could tell that by so time, we would have now gone into profit. I said, thank you for your honest question. If I was not keeping my accounts and my record, I won't even be able to give her that kind of information. My staff will just say, they are saving money. Today, one supermarket pay tomorrow. They are forgetting that I'm spending money on feed, I'm spending money on seed, I'm spending money on even repairs. Today, a borehole has broken down. Somebody comes to fix it. Tomorrow, go and get welder. This thing has broken. All those things must be part of your record keeping as to how you are spending money. Then, Prof had also mentioned, avoid new things that is completely outside that focus and your business plan. Don't take that money and somebody comes to tell you, if you do this one, you're going to get 60% margin. It's better to stay focused. The profit that you make from it, once you pay the bank that installment, if you like, you can take a bit of it and go and do trial. I always tell people, anything you plan to do trial first. Do trial first and see whether it is something that can work for you or not. And then I always say, leverage on the people you need to be able to sell. Sometimes some of us are looking for supermarket. We're looking for this, we're looking for that. We forget our immediate circle. Most times, if you have a good family relationship, if you bank well into your relationship, you're always feeding that account. How do you feed the account of your relationships? From now, just by doing this program, I have met Professor Grace Joktan. She's now within my network. The evening I will say, Madam, how are you? Just checking up on you. By the time I greet her like that, and she too sometimes, how are you? That okra seed, is it doing well? Is it? That relationship has been sealed and it is there. But some of us don't explore our relationship. It is only when we now have trouble and now be looking for, hey, what's that woman's number? Oh, that woman that I met that day. And it is one of the reasons why if I go for a conference, local, international, I'm coming back with at least 3, 4, 5 people that I am going to keep in touch with continuously after that thing. You will be amazed that there was a time we went for one conference in Ghana, and there was a particular seed I was looking for in Ghana. When we went around some of the farms, the last farm that we went, I saw it there. Hey, as I saw it there, my whole body was shaking like, hey, this thing. In fact, some people went and just started tearing the thing. I didn't move. When we were leaving, I now told the woman who owns the farm, I said, Madam, how much do you sell this seed? She looked at me. She looked, she smiled. She said, thank you. sell it for this amount. I said, I would like to buy. So she made them package it and all. I brought out the money. She said, no, I should leave the money. I said, no, I must pay for it. She said, the respect she had for me was the fact that when I got there, I didn't go and tear it. I now told her the story of how I've been looking for that particular seed and why it meant a lot to me. Today, I'm growing that seed now. That is because that relationship, first, she saw a good side of me. I didn't go into the jumping mode of those who were tearing at her plant. It's wrong. It's against all etiquette. You know, that you see something because you want it. You have not even met the owner, you have not chatted, and you're already tearing it. But that network today, she's in Ghana and here. She has never been to Nigeria. I ask her questions. If I see anything about that thing, I will ask her. This thing is beginning to look like this. I send photo. She will give me a reply. So please, let's bank well into all our relationships. Be it the people we work with, the people we meet in church, the people we meet in the mosque. There must be somebody. Don't say, I'm an introvert. I don't talk much. And then you go somewhere and you don't live with one single person's phone number. Then you've made a mistake, because sometimes what will benefit you, you don't even see it immediately. There was somebody who on my Instagram page, he will come to my Instagram page, be asking me question, I will answer him. Do you know that the day I now said, please, what's your real name? When he gave me the real name, I said, no, I mean your own name. He said, that's my real name. And I said, are you so and so? It was him. But it didn't matter to me that he was that person, because all along we had built a relationship. Another thing I would like to suggest is that don't be embarrassed to showcase your produce, especially with this loan money. Don't be embarrassed. Be free with people. Do you know that I have now expanded our poultry? We're putting up our own processing units. I tell everybody who cares to listen. Recently, one lady called me, Madam, have you finished your processing unit? I said, no, what do you want? She said, I'm waiting. That's because she knows. Only heaven knows what she will bring for me or who she will market me to. So I always tell people, don't be embarrassed. Tell people. There's a gentleman, he produces high quality cassava peel. We now buy, I mentioned it yesterday, that we now buy his high quality cassava peel to augment our feed. When I first learned of that thing was 2017 in India. But every time I mention it to people, you have come. What is that one again? Guess what? Now IITA is producing it. But they're not producing it for sale. They're producing it to teach people who want to produce it. So there's a gentleman we now buy our own from. You know that if you see that man's signboard, he's there, supported by NASA, CBN, he put it there. So when you see it and you know upfront, you know that this man means business, because it is loan that he wants to repay. So don't be embarrassed, don't be shy to tell people, because at the end of the day, you want to make the money back. You don't even want to wait for 5 years. I've not, even though we have based this thing on 5 years, I am not basing my own on 5 years. It will make me happy if I refund that money in maximum 3 years, so that the next 2 years, I don't have to worry about that. So always, 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 don't be shy. Tell people, oh, I got an intervention through CBN. That is what we have used to develop this. In fact, people will have respect for you, because they will feel that you are very serious on that business that you are doing. And then please shop around whatever you want to do with the money. Irrespective of business plan, shop around. Don't see this one and say, it's my friend who is selling it. Go to the one who is not your friend. Then you start comparing whether the price is right, the quality. Another thing I always tell people, please go for quality products. There is no point taking a loan to go and buy wishy-washy equipment or anything. You should buy something that you'll be looking at it in 10 years' time, and you will be happy that, this is money well spent. Then anything that can accelerate your returning the money earlier is an option. Like Prof said, don't go and start something completely new, but within that framework of what you are doing. For instance, I coach others. Even this loan, I have people who they come together for me to just share with them some of these ideas I'm sharing now, you know. So I coach people and I train people. Sometimes it's not much, but sometimes I'm happy to have it. So that one aligns with the vision of what I'm doing. I have not decided to go and use the money to buy a machine to be smoking fish. At best, I can use my profit from sales to buy a machine to process the chicken and dry it. It is one thing that if you go in Lagos, people will buy dried chicken. They love it. In fact, there's a girl now, when we call her a lady, there's a young lady in Kaduna. Do you know that from Kaduna, she's sending smoked chicken or dried chicken to people in Lagos? She's sending. She's also in this our naturally raised. She will market it on social media. The day she's seasoning the chicken, she will put it on social media. When she keeps it inside fridge for the seasoning to enter well, she will put it there. When the chicken is ready, you'll be reading, send me 10, send me 5, I want 6. That is Lagos market. It might not be like that elsewhere, but that awareness, one can drive it anywhere. You only need to learn how to talk properly. Tell people what you are doing. Be very intentional about making others appreciate. First and foremost, it is not the selling that is going to get you there. It is the advocacy for that thing. I'll give you an example. We bottle and sell spices. And how did we start? When I started noticing that some things, they will be ready and there will be plenty, but we don't have enough market for it. I now decided and I bought a dehydrator. When I bought that dehydrator, we will harvest those things, we'll carry, go and dry and sell. So that was how we went into spices. Do you know that today we have marketed our spices? One of the key things I use to market it is that I don't run down other people's product to sell my own. I just elevate what is right about my own. I tell them these spices, they're already mixed. A little of it goes a long way. A chef who used it also came to help me tell people how good it is. Of course, that was how that market started moving. So if you need others to help you spread the word, there's nothing wrong in it. Like I mentioned yesterday, you can dry 1 or 2 chicken, cut it into tiny, tiny pieces, put it inside a small bag, put your business name and phone number, distribute it somewhere. It can be maybe a school meeting, old girls school, be old school girls, be old boys, whatever. Just a group that you are familiar with. You give them their, have a little something for everybody. As they are eating it, they are talking, come on, this thing is sweet. Say, oh, it's one of the things we do. And you didn't tell us all this time. Oh yeah, bring 2, bring 1. And that is how, you gain that exposure. But let it be something within your business plan. Don't go, into something completely different that you're now probably losing money there and wondering why you went to do it. Then always make sure that people who can also aggregate, like caterers, people who do restaurants. There's a lady, when she first started talking to us, she was buying something like, maybe she was buying like 20 beds every other day. Today, I don't even meet her demand. Hey, she has grown so big in her business. And one of the things why makes her to come back is that sometimes even when she takes that, she'll say, please, oh, the people I cook for, they pay me every something, which we will wait. So the fact that we were waiting and she was being able to return our money to us within those 2 days without stress made her to like us. It's not like as if we are washed with money, but we are glad that at least we are aggregating, the money is coming together. So if one person has to pay you for 10 chicken or 20 chicken, it's different from when 20 people have to pay you for 20 chicken, because their own money will be coming, which is okay. But if you can get the one that will just take 10, 20 and pay at once, then it is a good thing. Then people need to be participants. You need to be time sensitive. You know, like somebody yesterday said, she's just about going into poultry. You will have to sit down with those who are already in it to know when to stop. Because even the hatcheries where we buy the day-old chicks, it's like as if they too walk it back. Somehow, during that period, let's say Christmas is coming now, you will find out that 6 to 8 weeks before Christmas or before people start buying Christmas chicken, the price of the day-old chick will go up. You definitely don't want to buy it well ahead of that time, because you don't want to keep feeding when others are selling, you know. So it is very important to be very careful. But you have to bear in mind, book it in your calendar from the beginning of the year. Me, I used to tell people, I said when I was in paid employment, I used to mark every holiday in my calendar to know when I can have peace of mind. I say, I beg, work tire person, so and so date is a holiday. I start looking forward to it. I say now, I am doing the same thing, but now it is not to go and enjoy and somebody pay me. It is for me to go and do what I know will benefit me in the long run. So you must be careful, you must be sensitive. Which times do people eat your product more? If it is poultry, you know that, okay, Easter will come, small salad, this, that, you mark all of them. You now calculate back. For instance, now we do cockerel. We do cockerel or noila for Christmas. And we know that they're going to be here for the next 5 months. But we know that once Christmas comes, it's not everybody that can afford turkey. Some people will say, I beg, give me big chicken. This is the time to buy big chicken. So you just try and find out from people. You can even do it like a joke. So how do you celebrate Christmas? Is it with turkey or with chicken? Some people will say turkey. That's when you people will say turkey is 20,000 or 15,000. Me, once I get 2 good big chicken, you will go around everybody. You start listening to those ideas. It's like you are doing a sort of survey. Like you are doing a kind of survey that people don't really know that you are doing survey, but what you are doing is accumulating knowledge. You can also find out from other people. I know a lady, there's one lady, she's an alaja in Ibadan. She does not raise her chicks to slaughter time. She doesn't. All she does is she picks them up. Within 3 weeks, 4 weeks, she's selling. She will now, I think Prof also mentioned something similar. She will now leave some. But guess what? Those some that she's going to leave, she will get the money of their feed. Part of the money of their feed will come from those ones that she has sold. So if she needs 200 birds, she can take, say, 300. She will now raise those 100 to a certain stage. The next thing, you just see her on WhatsApp group. 3-week-old something for sale. Of course, people who maybe didn't buy at the time they should buy will say they want, and she will sell. So that is another way of looking at it. So I've talked about adding value to your chicken, maybe smoking it, drying it, or doing something different with it. Then I've talked about thinking of other sources of income within that same line. Like I said, now I coach people, I train people, and I earn personally, not for the business as such. Then I want to mention those who work with us, our workers. It is very, very important to let them know what is going on. Before somebody thinks my madam has run into money, you have not run into money. It is a loan. You must have their buy-in in what you are doing. See this thing, oh, I bought it for 50,000 naira. It is loan. Oh. Let's use it wisely. Let's use it carefully. I cannot afford to replace it. Then they themselves, what are you going to do for them? So what I started doing for my workers, which has worked well for me, I pay production bonus. So I tell you, if you're able to meet this percentage, like the person in my poultry, there's an allowable mortality rate, which we all have. So I always encourage him, if yours is far less, then I'll do this for you. If it is this percentage, I'll do. So when he is working and putting in all that effort, I know that it is not just for me, it is also for himself. Because at the end of the day, he stands to gain something. Some will say that they have workers who pilfer. I have, in poultry, I have not really, I've not had anything that will worry me. But what I always tell those of us who own poultries is we need to sharpen our communication skills. It is not the communication of even talking. It is the non-verbal communication. Sometimes you talk to a worker, immediately you say something, you go and look at that person's face. And most times, if I pick up something, then I'll call the person and say, is there something you would like to tell me? Is there something I need to know? Then the person might first of all scratch their head. Then they turn around. Madam, this, that. And it's always better to listen and hear them out. Even if it is the most stupid thing, please don't shout. And don't insult your workers. I always tell people, if a worker gets to a stage where you are shouting every day at him, then let him go. Because you are not only demoralizing him, you are working yourself up. Why should your place of work become a place where every day you are shouting at people? Or even the minute you enter the tape, they say, hey, Wala, don't come, oh, she don't come, you know? And then be on top of it. Like the lady who said she wants to start, you need knowledge. Hey, you need the knowledge, continuous knowledge. You need to be among people who know, who are doing it, and you just be asking them. I find out that as the owner of an agri-business, the fact that I know a lot helps me, because there's nothing my workers can do that I don't know. So, for instance, accountability is also very key. I ask that we weigh our chickens almost every day. I was doing it before every week. It was one of my mentors that said, no, let them weigh every day. What do you need to weigh? You take a basket or something. You put about 5 or 10 of them inside, depending on the size. You put it, you get the average, and you have an idea of the weight. Now, that weight is a determinant for you, because there are also charts that show you the amount of feed, the conversion rate, and what their weight ought to be. So if their weight should be 900 and something grams, and you are getting something like 400 grams, there's shortage already. Because there are stages at which your birds will not go and become Tyson. They are past that stage. So one has to be on top of it. Weigh it every day and start creating that chart for yourself. So if the weight goes down today from yesterday, tomorrow goes down, something is wrong. You need to wake up to it. You might not know everything, You can't even know everything. You start asking on some of your groups, please, yesterday. Then they'll start asking you questions like, have you checked the pool? What color? What did you apply last? And all of those kind of things. And make your staff to be sensitive. I learned something from one of my mentors. He said, if you are doing, let's say, layers or broilers, even any poultry bird, he said, when you enter their pen, don't talk. Just quietly stay in one corner and observe. He said that observation is money in the bank. Because where you stand, you will look. You see that one. Maybe it's difficult to get up. You see that one already looking at you like, oh, this woman is here. So that observation will make you be aware of what is going on. And many of us, we will know that when we are calm and we're within ourselves, things come to us. You start saying things. You can ask your worker too. That one, where is bending his neck? Oh, doesn't look like it's okay. When you have assessed them, you now isolate those ones that you felt something was wrong. But if every day you march into the place, maybe in fact you march inside shouting at the worker, the chicken also, you will miss out because they will now all be on the alert and know that you are there. But when you have the buy-in of your workers, you keep encouraging them. Me, I learned something from one of my sister's mother-in-law. Hajia, if Hajia is going to, let's say you've offended Hajia and you have just come from outside, that woman, she will greet you warmly. She will greet you warmly. If she has just finished cooking, she will even offer you food. You will eat. If it's a journey and you finish that food and it is sleep, you want to sleep, Hajia will encourage you to go and sleep. But heaven help you when you wake up. All the things that she wants to tell you, she will now give it to you in a way that you will never forget. So as much as possible, let us treat our staff that way. And then let us always isolate. If the worker has made a mistake that affects business, don't use that to abuse him when he told you that himself and his wife quarreled. They are two different things and they should never be brought together. And then don't abuse, if the person, let's say the person in your poultry is somebody who is a bit senior to some other people, don't rubbish him in front of those people. I once traveled in a car with a lady, and the way her driver was driving, I was afraid. Oh, the driving was so bad. When we now got to one place, she told the driver to stop, that we want to use the toilet there. When we got to the toilet, she turned. She said, Auntie, I'm sure you are surprised that my driver was driving like that and I didn't say anything. I said, everybody has their own style. Maybe there's a reason for it. She said, yes, I did not want to rubbish him in front of all of you. Because if I do that, I know him. He will even drive worse to Lagos. Or he will give us the kind of attitude that we will not like. So I asked him to stop here so that we can win. Then I will call him aside and talk to him. And that day, she's a very young lady to me. I learned a lesson. Because if it's me, it is in front of everybody, I'll have abused that driver. You want to kill us? Why are you driving like this? He didn't say anything. So now, as an entrepreneur, I try to use it in my lifestyle. And guess what? Other workers will come and tell you when things are going on in your business. When you treat them with that respect, you will find, if you have 3, one of them will align with you and will give you ideas and tell you what is going in your business and what you should know. Because sometimes what you don't know can kill your business. What you don't know can kill your business. So it is always very good to have that complete idea that you are on top of the game. There are days when I get to the poultry, despite the fact that they've given me the number, mortality data 0. I might have seen mortality 0. I will get there. I'll say, I want us to count the birds today. Since I did not complain, I didn't say anybody stole my chicken. I said, I just want to assess them. So while we're assessing them, I said, you know what, let me even count them. Let's know how many they are again. Then we will start. One day, my worker was so sure that the birds were complete. I don't know why. I just said, let's count. He said, no chicken died. If there's chicken died, I would have shown you. Guess what? One of the chickens had stepped on the edge of a bowl that he left in the poultry. He forgot the bowl in the poultry. He used it to carry their feed in and then was putting it in the feeders. He now forgot to take that bowl. Do you know that the chicken, you know, chickens are very curious. Know how, the one they call them, the one they don't call them, they will take their eye to go and see. The chicken stepped on the edge of that bowl. The bowl tilted. By the time I now went in and we're counting, I just saw the bowl. I said, what's a bowl doing here? When did we introduce this new system? I just removed bowl, wanting to take it out. The bird was one that it had died. So obviously he had gasped for air because that thing closed the chicken down. And the boy said, madam, I fear you. Oh. I said, why? He said, because you kept on saying this bird might not be complete. And that he was so sure that no bird. So apparently he too, when he counted, he just assumed that maybe his counting was wrong, that he will count them again. Then I entered and he kept on telling me, ma, I will never steal from you. I didn't take any chicken. I said, no, it's okay. It's all right. So when we counted and it was missing one, I just took it as one of those things. I said, just note it in your book. Then I saw that bowl. And true, under that bowl, the chicken had gone there. So it's also good for us in that respect that we want to create that mutual respect. Let us not always jump into conclusion that, oh, the person is a thief. He has stolen my chicken. He has this, he has that. And then if our practices are beside other people, it is okay to know any other person in that vicinity where we're doing our poultry. It's good to know them, but discourage your workers from going poultry to poultry, because when all these infections and things come, it might be just one person visiting that poultry that will bring back something to our own poultry. So we need to be very, very careful. And what I find that works for me, I tell my workers the reason for every decision I take. So if they have the reason for that decision, in fact, now that COVID is here, I always tell my workers, this COVID is true. You know, we that were in the village, in fact, the villagers around me, you know what they say? They say it's for the rich. And I always ask them, you that you are doing 5-day markets, is it everybody handing money to you that you know? They will say no. I say, so if the rich bring money to market to come and buy from you and give you money that has been contaminated by rich, will you know? They say no. So I always try and use all these simple things to break it down for my workers so they have an idea. So these are some of the practical hints and tips that I have experienced, which I would like our participants to note as they go on with their training and with their application. Then please note that the interview is very serious. If you go for NASA interview, it's not a child's play. They want you to be able to talk intelligently about how you want to spend that money. You will be able to tell them your business plan. Even if somebody else sits down and drafts it for you, sit with that person and let that person explain every small thing there to you. Because when you go for your interview, they're going to ask you questions and you must be able to answer them. So with the things that the prof had mentioned yesterday, with these tips, share with you, please put everything together and try to remember. Say, wait, sir, I want to check my book and write some things on one paper, but it's not the one that's, sorry, say my internet connection is unstable. Okay. It's not the one that you now say, sir, let me get my book. And what they are driving at that interview is to be sure that you want to use that money for the purpose. And the purpose you want to use it for, that you know it. It's not like as if my friend is doing it and is building house. So you too, you think you can just do that. Then again, they are going to visit. They are going to visit. If they don't visit you, money is not dropping. If money drops, you cannot withdraw from it. So it is very, very important that if you say you want to start a snail farm, or you want to start a poultry, or you want to start an animal this thing, they cannot come to you. Where are you going to do it? You now take them to the back of your house. You say part of the money is to buy 50 goats. They look at the space in your compound. You cannot take more than 5 goats. So who are you fooling? So please be realistic, be genuine, be authentic. They are going to visit you. It is only after that visitation that you can then draw down on the money. And then they will ask you for invoices. You cannot cook up invoices because they're going to pay the person who has the invoice. So you're not going to go and bring one invoice from one shaku shaku place and think that's how we'll just pay them. They have their own due diligence. They can go there, they can call the phone number. Madam, we want to buy the feathering machine. And then the person at the other end of the phone will say, the feathering what? What's that? You know? So you need to be able to be genuine. Any invoice you give them is like a legal document. You are telling them that this is true, this is legal, this is correct. It is now a legal which they will use to pay you. And I wish each and every one of our participants all the very best as they go through this journey of either starting a business or expanding what they have already. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mama, I permit me to just say thank you, thank you, thank you, Madam. See me as I'm seeing the name that I can pronounce easily. This is virtual. If it were physical, I would say let's all clap for her first.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, you did very well, and you really demonstrated that you are a practical person in the business, and your experiences that you shared has really helped us. I believe that you'll be able to, you'll be willing to take a few questions before we even move on. And I know Professor Jordan she's just by the side to assist in case of any other thing, but all the same, I have two people that have indicated they have questions. One is Charity. Charity, are you there? Charity.
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, please go ahead and ask your question directly to the expert in the practical field.
Okay, thank you, Ma. I appreciate this presentation. I just want to know, sometimes I hear people saying, I lost 200 bears at once, I lost this. What are the causes of this massive deaths in a poultry?
It can be quite varied. First and foremost, biosecurity is very key. Yesterday, I mentioned to the participants who were here that because we do naturally raise, we do not use antibiotics, we don't use synthetic drugs. And the naturals that we use serve the same purpose. But we all know that sometimes it's like if somebody has a fever already and that person is shivering, that's not the time to go and take agbo. That one calls for a real medical intervention. So I expect that person to go to hospital or pharmacy. The same thing for poultry. First of all, our biosecurity must be top notch. So even on this farm, if you are not assigned to poultry, you are not allowed to go into poultry. You cannot go in there. If you ever have the opportunity of visiting the big poultry companies, all this hatchery that people take day old chicks, no. I understand that you can take your bath three times self. As you are leaving one section, you must enter their bathroom, wash yourself before you go elsewhere. And some of them, even as you are entering their compound, is another thing that we are planning to do now. There is a bath that your car and your leg must go through before you approach them. It is because you can bring anything from outside. How many of us knew that a time will come when you and I will wear masks to talk to each other? Because as we sit down to talk, I can know my own status. I don't know your own. You can know your own status. You don't know my own. Since this COVID started, I have a very close doctor friend. She lost her husband last year and she decided to move to a smaller house. The husband was already trying to sell their house to get a smaller place because all their children are grown up and married. Said, what's the point of having a big house? So this lady now called me to tell me that she has moved to a new house. So I said, when COVID subsides, I'm coming to visit you. She said, no, nobody should come and visit her. That she didn't know that she was exposed twice. Twice she was exposed and she didn't know. But thank goodness, on each occasion, she didn't remove her mask. One, she's a medical doctor. One was inside her own office. Another one, she was the one that went to drop a message for the lady. When she went to drop the message, somebody said, you and this COVID, come in now, take a drink, let's even chat for old time's sake. She entered the house. Later on, the woman called her to tell her she turned negative. So with your poultry, you have to take very, very keen biosecurity. Then, depending on which path you decide to choose, don't skimp on medication. Don't say, hey, the price of this drug has gone up. Can we overlook it? No. If your path is to vaccinate them, make sure you do it clockwork. And then I always tell people, there's no point saying, I beg. You know, even as human beings, when you tell somebody, this thing you are eating is dangerous, or this thing you are taking, you know, that kind of thing, say, it's something that would kill somebody. I say, somebody should not die anyhow. And it's the same thing with medication for animals and livestock. Get a vet. In our place here, to get a vet is very expensive. If a vet is going to come out to see you on your farm, just for coming, just for living wherever he is and coming is 15,000 naira. Even though I'm doing naturally raised, I still bring in a vet once in a while. I'll just say, you know what? When everything is fine, it's good to be on the alert and not wait till something is wrong. So we have that sort of periodical check. Man will come and say, hey, your agbo is working, oh, madam, well done. You know, Mama Lawo is always using all sorts of names to tease me. But in a way, he is impressed that despite it, I'm still bringing someone like him, you know, to just come and check. And sometimes there can be outbreak. That's why I was saying that you might know your other poultry owners around, but don't make a habit of going to this poultry, going to that poultry. You don't know what you are going to carry out of the place. So that biosecurity, undue exposure, making sure that medications or vaccinations are well taken, and then from good sources. That's when they will say one vaccination is cheaper in one place than one place. It's better to go to places where you have they have reputation. I remember when I first started, everybody told me how it is cheaper to compound your feed. I think Prof mentioned something like that yesterday, talking about the fact that if you don't know, don't start compounding. Still rely on those factories. You see, those factories, they owe it, they've invested millions, sometimes millions of dollars to set up those feed factory. So the day you come out and say something is wrong with their feed, they will do everything to protect their integrity and make sure that you are happy. On this my naturally raised journey, the man that I was mentioning yesterday, that is like the, there was a day he came out and mentioned a particular feed. He said, please, I want to tell all of you, for now, don't buy so and so feed. The reason was that the corn inside that feed already had aflatoxin. And of course, once you are serving feed with aflatoxin in it, you are looking for trouble. You will lose birds now, because it's not something that is safe, neither is it good for their health. So sometimes these things can come from different places. But I would like Prof to also add to that situation of losing birds.
Well, Prof will add, I think, but I've seen two people that have raised hands. Perhaps by the time they ask their questions, Prof will add up to whatever she would want to add. First, I would like you to listen to them first.
Okay.
Ibrahim, is it Musa Ibrahim? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam, for this wonderful presentation. Like the prof said, it's really from a practical person, somebody that has been on the field and knows the technicality involved. So for people like us who are starters, maybe coming on board, where we have been engaged in it in one point or the other, but not as a business or a professional something. We want to start with something like this, and looking at it that from the angle of getting loan from MESAL and all this. So please, Ma, if you are to advise people like us, how many chickens will you advise people like us who are starters to start with in order to prosper in this business?
Okay. This was one of the points that the prof mentioned yesterday. If you are starting newly, as in this is completely new to you, personally, I would say 50, maximum 100. Just do a trial first. Learn from even like 2 cycles, because the more you do this, the better you get at it. But even no matter how much of an expert you become, you still have to be on your toes. So I personally, when I have a new staff, like the person who has been with me since now, he says he's leaving. He's going to leave on Saturday. The new person who is going to take over from him is on his way. When that new person comes, I am not going to give him more than 50 beds, maybe maximum 100. Because some will say, oh, they've worked before, but our own practices here is completely different from what they know. So I cannot let them take chances with me. So I will encourage you to use about 2 cycles of maybe 50, try 150, 50 first. Because, and why I say 50 is that every carton has 50. Sometimes some of the companies, they will give you 1 extra, so you get 51. So you can do 51, maybe after 2 weeks, if you see that, because you brood for about 2 weeks. So after that 2 weeks of brooding, if you are happy with yourself, because there's a scale, you need a scale to be weighing them, to be sure. Then even when you receive the birds, they should be at least 40, they should weigh something like 40, 41, 42, 43, 44 grams. If you collect birds and you weigh them and they are showing you 30 something, you will already know that. You may not know, but by the time you are learning on the job, you know that there's a problem already from the hatchery. And you can complain. If it's a hatchery that you went there yourself, start making noise there, that you don't understand these birds that they have given you, that you hope it's not runs. Runs are the ones that will not grow. You start shouting there that you hope it's not runs they're giving you, because these birds, they must be 40 something. It's always good 40 something. So try with about 50. After you brood, if you are successful and you check their weight, and their weight correlates with what they ought to be, then maybe 2 weeks after, take another 50. At least in the long run, maybe you use about 50 to 150 for trial. And then you build your own confidence too.
Okay, thank you, Madam. I believe Professor Jackton is also taking note. We'll take the last hand that has been raised, then you still respond. This is Kalu Awa. Kalu Awa, are you in the house?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Madam, thank you very much for this practical presentation. My question comes in two forms. Number one, you have painted so much a success story because of your experience. Could you also tell us the downside, the negative experiences you've had over this period? Then the other question has to do with carving a niche. By virtue of your organic approach to this poultry farming, I strongly believe that that area would be a good niche for me who wants to establish one in Abia State. How can I start an organic poultry farming? Meanwhile, remember at the moment I'm still residing in Abuja. These are two issues I want you to address. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, in terms of there's some interference from someone. Okay, thank you. First of all, in terms of the challenges, one of the reasons why I have been able to speak eloquently about why we should do some things is because of the experiences that I have had. There is no journey in agri that can ever be smooth from beginning to the end. There will always be hurdles and hiccups. Since we're talking about poultry, I believe that practically all my challenges have come from staffing. Now, because of the niche of raising birds naturally, once most of my staff come and they learn it, guess what? They want to go. Because they found something that is unique. Something that, in fact, the last one that left here, by the time he was looking for who to buy his poultry birds, he had to go to my business manager to beg him that, Madam always gets large orders. Please, if you don't have enough birds to complete the order, come and buy my own. And me, I'm not a wicked person. So I just looked, I just thought, if he doesn't have a buyer and the birds are there, it means he's spending money to feed them. And with poultry, you can't cut corners. If you say, I don't have money, bird won't eat today, they are playing with fire, because they will now lose weight. And if they lose weight, that's your money gone. So you can't even take such chances. So the most difficult periods that I usually have are when my workers decide they're going. And most times it is because they've now opened their eyes to a new situation. So that last one that left, from the age of the birds, it was obvious that he was raising them when he was still with me. So that is a primary area where I have had challenges. Usually that change of hand or somebody not being truthful. So that's why something like counting of the birds. If I have a staff who I'm not too clear about, then I will enter my poultry physically and we start counting the birds together. And once I do that a few times, they sit up because they know that this woman. But if you sit down somewhere and you are giving instruction, put it there, it's okay, I'll see it later, another time, they know you. They will know. Even in my crop section, I have areas that I hardly go to. When my boys want to hide things, that's where they put it. There was a time they took one of my machines. I think it's a cassava presser. Instead of asking me that they wanted to make fufu, they didn't ask me. You know, they carried the machine and took it to a part of the farm that I usually don't go to. Unfortunately for them that day, as soon as I got out of my car, I just headed in that direction. And I noticed how everybody kept quiet. And I called them to follow me, that I just want to see that place. You will not believe it. They fought themselves silly because they were sure that one of them had told me, and nobody told me. But it's okay to have one or two friends among them who will tell you little secrets. That's another thing that I enjoy. Before that thing will completely ruin my business, somebody will call me and tell me. And why? The day of I buy bread, I'm on my way to the farm. I buy bread, I'm on my way to the farm. Okay, this is Gary, and I'll share it. They value those little things. So it's always good to extend oneself. Now, the other question, where you said you are in Abuja and you want to start this in, did you say Abia? Hello, Mr.
Yes, please. Yes.
You are living in Abuja, but you want to start it
The moment.
Yes, but you want to
Abia
start it
State,
where?
because Abia State, because I have property there. I don't have in Abuja.
Who is going to look after them?
I intend to move on. I intend to quit what I'm doing now and go to looking after them. I'll get closer, sure. I'll get closer.
Okay. What I would suggest, start when you get there. Start when you get there. And when you get there, when you get to Abia, we are very many now. I am almost certain that I'll find you somebody who will mentor you. I am almost certain I'll find you somebody who will mentor you in Abia, because the first time I went for the training for naturally raised, there were so many from different parts. In fact, one woman, she came pregnant. Do you know 2 weeks after the training, she had her baby? Till tomorrow, we're always all teasing her because the way she was jumping up and down, anytime they want to show us something, she'll be the first to jump the gutter across. So nobody even knew her baby was going to be that due. So there are so many people. And then some of these trainers, people also invite them. Let's say this my, I call him Prof. Apologies to the learned persons. But this guy, he eats, sleeps, and wakes this naturally raised. I told him, I said, if it is in Europe, he will be visiting lecturer to universities to go and teach because of the level of his knowledge. But in Nigeria, I think we don't accord. That's why I told someone, I said, I'm actually impressed that now is even bringing people like us, because we all know that sometimes it's not just the certificate, it's also the knowledge that that person has gained over the years. Sometimes here on my farm, the person who makes the most sense to me might not even be able to string 2 English words together. By the time he talks, he has made sense. So wait, when you get to Abia, I'm almost, because Abia sounds very, very familiar. I will link you up with those who will train you. You'll go and train with them. Usually, the most that most people charge for those trainings is always like 15,000, 20,000, but I think it's worth it. And why I always tell people to invest in those their trainings is that you can then hold on to that person forever. You know, because that person will always remember you. In fact, as they are leaving the training, you're already saying, I'm going to call you tomorrow. I'm going to call you day after. And many of them don't get tired of it because it's a niche that is healthy. And the more people that do it, the better for all of us. You will find the necessary support in Abia.
Okay, thank you, Madam. I will call Professor Joktan to add to what you have said. But before then, Professor Joktan, please take note. Joseph, not Joseph now. Yeah, Joseph.
Yes, Joseph Beatrice.
Yeah, he also has a question. So Joseph, can you make your question? Can you ask your question first? Joseph. Is Joseph in the house? Beatrice. It seems like he or she is not there. I don't know. Is it a he or a she now? Okay. Oh, we'll continue. Let's invite Professor Jackton to add up to some of the questions that have been raised. No experience is too much or is too small. So, Prof, you are invited to add to some of the questions if you can just clarify more or add information for us. Thank you.
Prof is practicing. Oh.
She
I
is.
said Prof is practicing. Yes.
Yeah, she's practicing farmer. She said it, and but I think she's not raising naturally. I think she's using the.
But she's
So
interested.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Prof. I think Joey Mimo has done a very good job of explaining to us in practical terms what it takes to run a successful poultry farm. She has given us practical tips that we are not likely to see in a textbook. And that is the essence of us being here. On the issue of mass mortality, there are several factors that can lead to mass mortality. A mass mortality is most likely gomboro. If they die at once, like a day, you see 50, 60, like that, it's most likely a gomboro. It's a disease condition. If they die, maybe today you pick 3, next tomorrow 5, another day 10, like that, it may also be Newcastle. So, but I think I want to say that biosafety is a major component of poultry production. It takes more emphasis on poultry than you can have it on other livestock. You can afford to play a little bit with ruminants on biosafety, but you cannot afford that in the poultry business. And so all measures for biosafety must be taken very seriously. You do not allow people working in other aspects of the farm to also engage in the poultry section. And you also assign such that this particular farm staff here enter there and enter here. You have birds, he is in the brooding pen, let him take care of the brooders. Another one is in the growing stage, let him be responsible for that section. And the issues of having disinfectants before entering the poultry houses, or even before coming into the poultry farm. There is always a farm gate. And when you want to sell anything at farm gates, it is advisable that you take it out of the farm so that your shop at farm gate is actually out of the farm. People will now stop there and you take the things there, and the point of sale is done separately. Not that anytime somebody wants to buy one chicken, he comes and roam around your farm and is looking at what size to point at, you know, or something. Those measures all lead to introduction of disease into the farm. Again, sometimes even for the farm staff, you need to teach them biosafety. If you put a foot bath in front of the house, some of the staff, you will now see them jumping the foot bath to enter the poultry house. Meanwhile, the essence of the bath is that you step on it such that any bacteria, virus, whatever you are carrying is disinfected before you enter the poultry. But when they come, they will just jump on top of it. Or they do not change the disinfectant as at when due. you put the disinfectant and the foot rag, and they leave it for 3-4 days. They do not change it because you are not there. So these are some of the biosafety measures, even more than the disease control. If you take care of these biosafety measures, you are going to have a high rate of disease control within your farm. And most times you need the vet, but the vet is actually there to look at when there are things that he needs to see. He's not supposed to be there like a manager. I think also one of the mistakes we make is taking them as the managers of the farm. Most times they concentrate on health issues. There are also management issues, and management issues are supposed to bring up a healthy flock of birds. If your management practice is correct, you are going to have very few cases of disease incidents, because like Madam said, you don't take medicine, you don't take, what did she say? You don't take something when it's that time.
Yeah. All these herbal remedies. It's not when you are sick that you go and take them.
Okay. So you put
You beef up your
those
immunity before.
management control processes.
It's like we're losing audience from Prof. Okay, we'll wait for her while she gets on. Let me read the question from Joseph Beatrice. Madam, she's saying, okay.
Hello.
Her question is on feed. Yeah. Okay. Are you back? Okay, Prof.
Sorry. So those are the things that we should actually need to take care of. Ensure that your biosafety measures are in good condition. Ensure that you adhere to management practices that are adequate for healthy livestock. Then when you have issues or symptoms of disease, then you need to invite the specialist to be able to advise. Like Madam said, watching your birds carefully is one of the major things you can do to help you. First thing in the morning, you get your poultry house, actually watch them quietly. If you stand by the window and just look at them, when you are looking for 2, 3, 4 minutes, you'll be able to detect, are they all healthy? Is there a sick animal in the pen? You'll be able to see, their behavior will tell you. And once you notice an animal ideally not interested in you, not taking note of, oh, who is there today? Something is wrong with that chicken, because ordinarily, once they see somebody, you see their head up and they are trying to look at you, you see the curiosity. So any bird that appears non-curious, not interested, with plump looking down, it tells you that something could be wrong with that bird. And you said, like we said yesterday, immediately isolate that bird. Before you do anything, isolate it and then look for advice on what next to do, either on that bird or even generally on the flock. But do not allow it to remain within the flock while it is looking sick. And I think somebody raised the issue of having a farm in
Abia.
Yeah. Honestly speaking, running a farm calls for your presence. If you are not there, a lot of things can go wrong. They give you a picture that is not true. I tell you, I give you an example. I told you yesterday that I had an okra farm. I had it in Abuja, and I was in Lagos. and I decided to do an okra farm in Abuja. When I was there for the first 2 months I was there, we were harvesting very well. By the time I got back to Lagos, I have an idea of what they should be harvesting. But immediately I got to Lagos, what I heard was they called me to tell me that that the villagers said they want to be buying the okra, that they will be retailing it. And I say, okay, if they want to retail it, no problem. They know how much a basket costs, so they should do it and this thing. They now said, no, the villagers said they will not be buying at the price I'm selling, and that they want their own lower. And I said, but me, I'm running a business. I did not plant that okra for jokes. So I said I wasn't going to sell. Do you know, by the third day, they called me to tell me that, honestly, in the night, they just woke up and went to harvest it, and they saw that all the matured ones have been harvested. They were thieves. I didn't need anybody to tell me that they were the people that had come to take things knowing you are not around. So issues of theft, issues of mismanagement of your resources, inappropriate management practices. They can tell you that, okay, you know that you are supposed to give Lasota after 7 days. They will tell you that they have done it. When the birds start dying and you start investigating, then you realize, oh, I forgot. I actually went on the 10th day to do it. Okay, why did you say you have done it that time? It's because I thought that since I did it the next day, there was no problem. And you will have, your money would have been gone anyway. Even if you do the shout, it won't take away the losses. So really the answer is be there. And again, I would like to add that make sure you have experienced farm hands. Don't start the farm with people that don't know anything. Scout around, get people that have some experience in running the farm and engage them. They may cost you a little more, but they will save you a lot more than you would have saved getting somebody that is a novice and then engaging him. If you have people that are trained, that have some skills, then you can now employ 1 or 2 to be learning from them gradually so that over time, they too can build their skills. But as you are starting, don't go and get one fresh person and feel he is the one that you should put on the farm. Again, don't think that the use of money in capacity building for your staff is a waste. When they are offering trainings on this, on that, take your staff there. Pay for them to attend the trainings. Create the time for them to participate in those trainings. It builds capacity on your farm and helps you to achieve greater efficiency and greater profit. I think those are the things I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Jackson.
Please, Professor Yala,
yeah.
Coordinator, moderator, can I paint a scenario why I am living in Abuja and I want to establish a farm in
yeah, oh yes, you are welcome.
Exactly. So I am putting this question across to you yourself, the coordinator, the professor, and Mrs. Shaw. You see, in Abuja, I've lived in Abuja for quite a long time. Like I told Prof yesterday, I'm your junior colleague in Abuja, but I have lived there for over a decade. You know, the issue of acquiring a land in Abuja is an issue. And the security side of it is yet an issue. I am an indigenous of Abia State. I have access to land at minimal cost. I already have one. So you see, this is my challenge. How would I resolve this issue? Especially vis-a-vis getting this NASA, CBN loan. How do you think I can resolve it? I am prepared to run the poultry in Abuja. But the issue of acquiring the land and also issue of security. Madam Prof has mentioned the issue of villagers, workers, all those stories about theft. So how do I resolve that? I don't mind doing it in Abuja if that can be resolved. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm sure the expert will start.
I think
Madam.
both people can respond to that.
Okay. I'm not in this area, but let me attempt to say that the option is before Mr. Kalu now. If he chooses to start the farm in Abia while he remains in Abuja, then he should be prepared for whatever the negatives that have been laid, decides to have it in Abuja instead of in Abia, then perhaps the middle ground would be maybe to look to go to the outskirts, maybe one of the satellite areas in Abuja where you could get land rather than inside the metropolis. This is what I would say, but it's like he's so passionate about starting the business. Thank you.
I think you are right. Our duty is actually to point out the pros and cons of a decision you want to take. The decision is ultimately yours to make, and that's the point Prof is making. But yes, like we said yesterday, there are peri-urban farms. The peri-urban farms are farms surrounding urban areas. You cannot, even for biological safety, it's not right for you to put farms within residential areas. But you can look at surrounding villages and put up your farm. When I said I had a farm in Abuja, I was not living on the farm, but I make sure on daily basis, I have something, one thing or the other takes me to the farm. Every other day, you know, you are close to the place. But if you are in Abuja and the farm is in Abia, and you probably may go twice a month or something, that's the period we are saying is too long. You will not be able to effectively manage it at that distance. But I was in Abuja, I think the farm is in one community called Zimbabwe, and I was living, yes, and I was living at that time in Jabi. So I make sure at least twice a week, or when they are going to do any management practice, I make sure I have my timetable in such a manner that I'm not there like in the morning when they need to water the okra. I will not be there. Like for 2 days, I may not be there, but I know the third day we will harvest, we will sell, I will go there. And security for poultry house is also important. You know, you can afford to have a crop farm that is not fenced and nothing is serious. But for poultry, you must have fence, a secured environment, and you must have somebody living within the environment. It could be a security man that doubles as a farm hand, so that in the morning he is there, but there must be somebody within that environment. It's something that you can work out where you are. But if you must do it in an Abia, my suggestion is maybe for now that you are not there, you can begin to look at issues of infrastructure, depending on the size of what you want to eventually get to. Because infrastructure are stable, they are on ground, and you begin to put those ones in place, depending when you can actually finally move there and begin to look at it, or when your family can move there and begin to look at it. But there must be somebody you can fully trust, because they really can tell you stories. And if you are not careful, you collect money and you will have a long story to tell and a long payment to be making out of your pocket. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Sorry,
I think that is a candid advice.
I am going to be very extreme. I'm going to be
Go
very,
ahead.
very extreme. There are things you do with your own money. There are things you don't try with other people's money. Staying in Abuja
Yes.
and running a farm in Abia is not what you do with another person's money. I'm going to be that blunt with you. As I'm speaking with you, I'm on my farm. If somebody told me, even up to last year, that I will ever come and be staying on my farm on weekdays and be going home at weekend, I will say, why? I have supervisor, I have this, I have that. It's a lie. The best person to manage your agri-business is you yourself. When Madam said she was going every day and that she used to make sure that even when they are going to harvest, she's there. You can do that for crops. Not when you have put all your intervention money on livestock. You can't afford it. This biosecurity we're talking about, who will enforce it if they are not there? Who will enforce it? That person inside the poultry, his friends will come and visit him, and you'll be shocked that they will sit there and even eat, because as far as it's concerned, he doesn't have an oga. Because an oga does not stay far away and then think that somebody is pushing his interest on the farm. No. Please, you better wait till you can fully move to Abia. Take all the space you want to take. Put in all the attention you want to put in. But please, if you want to do Abuja to Abia, do it with your own money, not intervention money. If they try you one time, the first time you succeed, you'll be happy. Yeah, I will look at you and say, foolish man. He thinks he's the only one who knows how to enjoy life. The next batch is when you will see where they will send you photos of other dead animals. They will send you photo of dead chicken that didn't exist on your farm. There are me. If you tell me you have a mortality, you will keep it for me to come. I will see it with my eye. But that doesn't even happen anymore because I'm here. It's only at weekend. And as I'm entering on Monday like this, I'm sniffing around and looking for everything. So my own blunt advice, do Abuja and Abia with your money. Don't do it with intervention fund. Thank you.
If he must do it, if he must do it. So thank you, Madam, for that good advice. I believe.
The bottom line, Madam is saying is you can do it with money you can afford to lose.
Okay, nobody even would want to do it.
Yeah. Yes, if you have money that you can afford to lose, then you can do it. Okay. But if you want to be sure of the money you have borrowed and you don't want to lose it, then the advice is it's not a very good way to go about it.
Okay, Mr. Kalu.
Prof, I have to show my face so that you see the man who is talking. I'll not take that risk. I think I got it from my two. I think.
You're welcome, sir.
I think Mrs. Show Obimo should be promoted to a prof.
And then National Open University will give her the certificate.
Exactly. And the National Open University of Nigeria is heavily represented by yourself and the two professors. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Madam, I think there's still one question hanging. The lady couldn't really ask it because she had problems with her mic. She's asking about that you say
formulation of feed.
Something like that. So you want to respond to that?
Yes, I want to.
Okay.
The particular feed that I referred to, the company immediately made amends. The feed that I said they discovered that had issues. You know, these big organizations, they too are trying. But why I don't compound feed is because sometimes even the best of companies that compound feed, you still get this problem of aflatoxin in their corn. But you see the reputable companies that have sunk millions to build their factories, they don't want anything to go wrong. We're talking of CBN intervention, maximum is 10 million. Some of these companies have sunk in 100 million, 200 million, billions to build those factories. So they have so much at stake that they don't want anything to go wrong. If today I call a company and say their corn, I went to test it, has this, it has that. If I bought 10 bags, they can come and give me 50 bags free just to keep me quiet so that I don't spoil their business. For somebody who is just starting, I will not suggest compounding of feed because number one, we need to know the particular ones to go to. We need to know the particular ones to go to. And really, I'm not sure anybody can give you the guarantee because getting aflatoxin in maize is very simple. It's a drying system. If it's not well dried and it's contaminated, sometimes it's not the kind of contamination that you will see with your eyes. It is when your birds start to react. Maybe you now take the feed to go and test. So for somebody who is starting, I'll say, please don't rush to compound feed. Just ask around, ask other poultry owners the feed they are using and how good it is. For instance, in my area now, we have a new factory. Everybody is talking very well about that new factory. I have raised birds on their feed. It was very good. But if you shut your eyes, most poultry owners will tell you, oh, go and buy breed well. It is not common. I'm not advertising for anybody. I hardly even use them because they're too far away. If anytime I want to order, by the time I go to Ibadan, I lose interest. But I will suggest that start small, but start with the best of everything that you can get. Get other people's opinion before you do that. But please don't start by rushing to many people will tell you if you compound feed is cheaper. Sometimes cheap is dangerous, especially when you are just starting and you don't know quality. So I'll suggest that you start with a good feed around your area. By the time you ask other poultry owners, they'll tell you the one that is most accessible and very good. And don't forget that it's not just about feed. Like I mentioned earlier, the birds themselves matter because their weight, the hatchery, the practices of the hatchery. How well do the birds do? I'm in Ogun State. I collect my birds from Oyo State because that's where I can get the best birds. 2 weeks ago, I collected from a hatchery near us here. We're struggling. And it's the first time I took from them. And it will be the last time because I don't even see hope for those their birds. So please go for quality and start attracting the kind of market that will buy what you want to produce.
Thank you very much. I've seen that Madam has another engagement in the next 10 minutes and she will have to leave. So before then, even all of us, I'm expecting that we will round up and close the training in the next 15 minutes at the maximum. So before we hand over to Professor Joktan, who is our one of the facilitators, we want to use this chance to really appreciate Madam so much, sincerely, for giving us this training and real experience. And it's just that we're just praying that we'll have another time so that maybe the Open University will have another time to call you so that we enjoy more from you. I must say that it was really very good of you, Professor Jackton, and you are very safe. Maybe participants would like to say a word before she leaves, but she's taking off any moment.
The generator.
Okay.
Well, Prof, let me just say something.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I can now see that the dominant gender in farming is now the female gender. And Prof, I think I'm correct because we have only Professor Jackton as the only professor of agriculture now, isn't it?
As a female, you mean?
No.
Yes, as
a female. Okay.
Yes, as the only female professor in agriculture. And I believe the next professor possibly will also be a female. And in this presentation, the two wonderful presenters have been women. Incidentally, Professor Showemimo moved from the legal profession to farming. And who says some of us who are in finance will not move into farming? I have been so impressed. I have so much gained from these two gentle ladies. Moreover, I know Professor Jokta, one of them, I interact with her from time to time, physically. Okay. So, and even yourself, Prof, I'm happy I'm seeing you in picture today. Hopefully one day I'll see you physically in Abuja. So I am quite impressed, and I think I've gained so much more than the money I have paid, sincerely speaking.
Oh, that's very good.
Thank you very much, sir. And madam.
You're most welcome, Mr. Kalu. Okay, Madam, we don't want to keep you for so long, but I would like our colleague, Professor Jackton, maybe to add up to the vote of thanks so that she can leave. Then we'll now pass our own vote of thanks to both of you to on her behalf through Prof. So, okay. Prof, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have.
I can hear you. And hello, Professor Showemimo. we are. I'm actually happy to have engaged with you on this program. It has also made me to really learn a lot. I was wondering how we are going to share the discussion, but it has come out perfectly for both of us. And it's nice knowing you, particularly your ability to really want to share information. Your love to want to mentor and carry people along actually comes out from the way you are talking. And actually, that is what agriculture needs. It needs people with passion, people that are willing to go all the way and be happy doing what you are doing. And that is just what we are seeing in this program. We are not looking at it as a tedious activity. We are not looking at it as something that is so difficult. No, we know there are challenges, we know there are difficulties, but we also know that we have the passion to withstand the challenges and the difficulties. And we want to be able to leave a footmark for the people behind us to follow. We want to be able to carry any young person interested in engaging in this. You can look at us and see our age, and we are still going to the farm. We are still doing what we need to do. In fact, to be honest with you, in Kaduna, I built my house in the farm. I just made a fence. My house is there. Then there's a back gate. If I go through my back gate, I just go to the farm. And I have the livestock component just behind. Then after the livestock component, I have also orchards. It may be 20, it may be 30, but that keeps me going. And when I'm stressed up in all my activities, 4 o'clock, people are winding down to go home. I'm just running to get to the farm. Sometimes I get there and I'm wondering, okay, so what brought me now? What is there for me to do that I've entered today?
Peace and quiet.
Yes, it tells you the passion that we have. That is the passion that we are seeing with Madam Professor Shewe Mimo. I am, for one, going to follow up with her. I have, like I said yesterday, attended 1 or 2 trainings on inorganic farming, but I did not take it seriously. But the way she has discussed it here has made me to say, okay, it's something I can try. If she can do it, why can't I? So I'm actually going to follow up with her. So we look forward to having her on some other occasions like this so that we can engage. We look forward to following her on her Twitter, I think Workpay, at Workpay.
Instagram.
And
Instagram.
Instagram we can engage. So thank you very much, and God bless, and God keep your farm until we are able to see and celebrate.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank
And
you.
at this point, I'd like all the participants to just say thank you to the 2 presenters, because we've run out of time, really. That will close in the next 2 minutes. So can we just say a word of thanks collectively to Mr. Jackson and Madam? Okay, we can clap and say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of the training for today. We look forward for tomorrow's on, and I hope we'll meet again as a group.
What's the time for tomorrow's meeting? When is it start?
It's in the timetable. You have to check the timetable. I don't have it up here.
Okay.
Yes, you have to check the timetable. So, bye-bye, and everybody.
Bye. Thank you. We appreciate you all.
Bye-bye.
Take some good rest. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks, sir.
Bye-bye.
God bless you.
Even the Lord Jesus, he did very well too. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Really, really.
So